And then verses 13 through 18, and this is where we'll wrap up tonight. It says, Folly is an unruly woman. She is simple and knows nothing. She sits at the door of her house on a seat at the highest point of the city, calling out to those who pass by, who go straight on their way. Let all who are simple come to my house. To those who have no sense, she says, stolen water is sweet, food eaten in secret is delicious. But little do they know that the dead are there, that her guests are deep in the realm of the dead. So now this is Folly offering her feast. But here the seductive woman is herself described as being simple and knowing nothing. It's not just that she, remember chapter 7, she's looking for the simple, she's looking for the naive. Here, she's described as being simple and naive. Folly is an unruly woman. She is simple and knows nothing. Proverbs makes it clear that we all start out simple and naive. Okay? We all start out simple and naive. The question is whether or not we will intentionally seek wisdom or if we will intentionally continue in our foolishness. Wisdom built her house and sent out the invitations. The seductive woman, it says, sits at the door of her house inviting people in. And she goes to the highest point of the city. And she calls out to those passing by. And she makes the same invitation that wisdom does. Let all who are simple come to my house. That's the very same thing wisdom said. Let all who are simple come to my house. To those who have no sense, she says, the same thing as wisdom. Why do you think Solomon has folly and wisdom make such parallel appeals? It's interesting that Solomon kind of, at least here, he presents these as, I don't want to say similar, but almost with having the same appeal or the same immediate attraction. You know, here's this, here's this. This looks good. This looks good. Right? This looks good. This looks good immediately. And then down the road, it's horror and death. This might not look quite as good immediately, but down the road, it's life and eternity. It's interesting. I just find it interesting that Solomon lays them side by side like this. Wisdom says, come and eat her food and drink her wine. Folly offers food and drink that is stolen and needs to be consumed in secret. There's something exciting and exhilarating about the feeling that we can get away with something or doing something outside the boundaries, but what those who respond to the seductive woman's invitation don't realize is that the food and wine she offers is poison to the soul. It's kind of an interesting word picture here. She says, come on into my house. I've got meat, I've got wine, I've got all these delicacies. Come into my house. And then it says, verse 18, but little do they know that the dead are there. You kind of get this picture of going into I don't know what you'd call it, not a haunted house, but one of those scary homes on Halloween, you know. On the outside it looks all great, and you walk inside and there's all these skeletons sitting around the dinner table. And all of a sudden you think, what have I gotten myself into? Yeah, but then you're in, right? But then you're in. You're there. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Well, Dave Bland, we'll wrap it up with this. Dave Bland, in his commentary on Proverbs, he wraps chapter 9 up by writing this. He says, the two women depicted in chapter 9 represent the two choices set before us, life and death. If one chooses the banquet of wisdom, then one follows the path of learning and growing and moral development. It is a nutritious meal that leads to a healthy life. If one chooses folly's banquet, then one has chosen a feast that by all appearances looks good. However, it is a meal loaded with sweets and containing little nutrition. In fact, the meal is toxic.